Hello and welcome to Unacademy IAS, a one stop destination for all the English medium civil services aspirants. Starting today, we are launching a new initiative, Economy This Week, where we are going to cover important economy related articles which appear in different newspapers, and this will be done once every week. So, every Thursday, 7 p.m., this video will be made available on YouTube. If you're liking this initiative, do not forget to hit the like button. And if you're yet to join our YouTube channel, kindly do it right now. So in this video, I'll be covering the important economy related articles from 12th to 18th June. Before I start the discussion, certain very important points. Point number one, during this particular session, I do not want you people taking up your pen and writing down whatever I say or whatever I write on the PPT slide. Reason being, I want you to focus and listen to the lecture. And I know some of you will be thinking, sir, if I'm listening to the lecture, who is going to make notes? That For that, there is a very simple solution. This is the QR code of my Telegram channel. After this video is made live on YouTube, come to the Telegram channel. The notes along with the PPT with annotations will be provided in my Telegram channel. So I don't want you to keep on writing down, listen to the lecture. Point number three, I want a commitment from your side. What is a commitment? Not for my benefit, for your benefit. The commitment is the PPT and the handout that you are downloading, you will not simply keep it. You will use the notes for revision purposes. You will keep on revising the current affairs. Whether you will do it monthly or quarterly, that is your call. But I want a commitment from your side that you will revise using these particular notes. And fourth, I want one more commitment from your side. That is, I want you to start practicing mains answer writing. Mains answer writing. And for this, my role will be very simple. At the end of the session today, I will give you one assignment. I'll be discussing all the other articles which are listed, but I'll give you one assignment. The assignment will have two important points. One, there will be article or articles that will be provided to you. I want you people to read those articles or article, and these will be editorials, mostly editorials. And there will be a question on article which is there in the editorial. I want you to write an answer 150 words or 250 words according to the question provided. I want you to practice mains answer writing from today. And this, we will make it a regular thing. Every session that I take in economy this week, this same practice will be followed. Done? So let me start the discussion. Before that, if you're someone who is preparing for the civil services examination 2026 or 2027, you need to have a comprehensive coverage of the static portion. Along with that, coverage of current affairs. You need to have a very good number of prelims test series which you can attempt and improve your performance. Mains test series, and in addition to all of this, to cap it all, you need to have a very good reading material. Join our courses and we will take care of all of these. The courses are available starting at 22,999, and if you use the code IAS English, you'll also get an extension of 6 months, up to 6 months free of cost. Those who are interested, do check out the details provided in the description below. Now, let me start the discussion. First article, SEBI has imposed certain restriction, has barred ex-IIFL director Sanjeev Bhasin from the stock market for manipulation. Now, what are the important points? Let me explain. Point number one, whenever you come across the stock market, the regulator in India for the stock market is a Securities Exchange Board of India. In short, SEBI. The role of SEBI, amongst all the other things, one role of SEBI is to ensure that there is no manipulation done in the stock market. You'll be wondering, sir, what do you mean by manipulation in the stock market? To explain the concept of manipulation, I'll take two different ideas. Both are important, both are there at different points of time in the newspaper. One is the concept of insider trading, that is a type of stock market manipulation. And the other one is the concept of front running. The other one is the concept of front running. Now, what is insider trading and what is front running? If you go to SEBI website, which you don't have to do because I've already done it, the SEBI website defines front running this way. Have a look at the definition. Such a small definition, such a easy definition which is understandable to you, to everybody, right? So the definition that is provided by SEBI is very comprehensive, very complicated. For a common man, very difficult to understand. Let me explain the concept of front running with one example here. One type of front running. Let's say I am one of the trader in the market. I will give you a recommendation to purchase the shares of company XYZ tomorrow. I will simply give my arguments. I'll say the company will perform better. You will get better market prices if you purchase tomorrow, sell it later. You will get better dividends, etc. etc. So, the people who are following in my Telegram channel, those who are watching me, etc., tomorrow they'll start purchasing the shares of the company XYZ. And as they keep on purchasing, the market prices of the shares will start increasing. Now, I would have purchased the company's shares yesterday. I've purchased the shares of the company, let's say yesterday, at price 50 rupees per unit. Because tomorrow the demand is very high, the prices of the shares will hit 60 rupees, 70 rupees, and why not even 80 rupees. So the shares that I've purchased at 50, I will simply sell it in the market at 80 rupees, thereby booking a profit, making a profit of 30 rupees per unit of share here. This, my dear, in simple terms is nothing but front running. That is, you are using certain information. According to SEBI, you are using certain information to manipulate the market, thereby making certain earnings. Your objective is to earn in this case. Undue profits you want to make. That is front running. Now, many of the cases, people get confused between the concept of insider trading and front running. What is insider trading? Insider trading is specifically targeted at the shares of one company. That is, you have certain information which is not available to anybody else in the market. That is, a certain information which is not public. You have information or you have got access to that information, and using that information, you will conduct certain transactions targeting shares of one company. Whereas in case of front running, although I've given example of company XYZ, it may not be specifically related to one company, it may be related to multiple trades as well. That is multiple types of securities as well. So front running, insider trading, both are types of market manipulation, but both are not one and the same. So whenever SEBI finds out that people are involved, let's say in the front running, it will take certain action. And that is exactly what has been done by SEBI in this case. It has found that certain number of entities, including certain persons or certain people, were involved in front running. And whatever gains they have done because of front running, all of that is being recovered. In addition to that, SEBI has imposed a restriction or has banned these people, these entities from participating in the stock market for certain number of years. Right? So this is one very important article. It was there in multiple newspapers, right, couple of days ago. Now, associated with this, I've given an MCQ. Those who want to solve this MCQ before me, hit the pause button, solve the MCQs. Otherwise, just listen to the explanation. Consider the following statements. The front running is a type of insider trading and is allowed if the disclosures are made to the regulator. Please understand, this will not be allowed. It first and foremost, you will not disclose it. But in any case, front running is not a type of insider trading. Reserve Bank of India regulates the front running and it has declared it illegal. My dear, it is not the Reserve Bank of India which is the market regulator here. It is a Securities Exchange Board of India, SEBI. And before I go forward, let me also ask you a simple question. And I want your answer in the form of comments in the video below. SEBI, is it a constitutional authority or is it a statutory authority? Do let me know. Or else the third type, is it an authority which has been set up through the executive resolution of Government of India? Let me know. Right, so both the statements are incorrect. Right option for this particular question is option D. None of the statements are correct. Let me go forward to the next article. Government has set up a task force to boost textile exports. Again, in the last 1 week, lot of articles, lot of newspapers have spoken about textiles. Now, let me have a overarching, comprehensive discussion associated with the textiles here. Point number one, India is one of the largest producers and exporters of textiles to the global market. In terms of ranking, generally India is considered as the sixth largest exporter. And not just this, India is also one of the largest cultivator of cotton. In fact, according to the data, India is the second largest cultivator of cotton. And some of you might be thinking, sir, which is the first then? Tell me which is the first. It is the country China, which is considered to be the top producer of cotton in the global market. Point number three, even though India produces a lot of these textiles and apparels, etc., India imports some of it. Remember this. India imports some of it. But at the end of the day, India is a net exporter. India is a net exporter. Meaning what? The value of exports is greater than the value of imports. Now, question arises, so how much do we export? Is it important in terms of global market, etc.? India generally exports around $40 billion worth of textiles. I'm rounding off the number, don't worry. Around 40 billion. But if you look at the global market, this is not a very large number. It is not a very large number. It is hardly around 4%. Hardly around 4% of the total global trade of textiles. Our competitors, our neighboring countries such as China, Vietnam, Bangladesh, their exports are much higher, much larger compared to India's exports. But nevertheless, textiles is a very important industry for us. Why? In terms of contribution to GDP, generally in the range of 2 to 3% contribution comes from the textiles. In terms of employment, more than 4 crore employment is generated in the textiles. Moreover, the textiles is a labor intensive industry. Labor intensive industry. What do you mean by labor intensive? Around 30% of the total expenditure incurred by the companies here, it is in the form of the wages or the salaries paid. Around 30% plus. And that's the reason I said it is one important industry which is a labor intensive industry. Generates lot of employment opportunities. And so these are certain very important basic points associated with the textiles. Now coming to what are the issues or concerns? What are the issues or concerns associated with the textiles? The issues or concerns are very simple. And I'll tell you a very simple trick in this case. Whenever you're reading articles like this related to an industry, related to a sector, and you come across the issues or concerns, reforms required, etc., the simplest way to remember is try to divide these in terms of inputs and output. Input and output. What do you mean by this? Let me give an example taking textile. What is the input for textile? You require raw material. Correct? You require raw material. Various companies which are operating within this particular industry, they argue that a lot of times importing of raw material becomes very difficult. Until very recently, the government of India used to impose very high amount of taxation on raw materials. That is an input. In addition to raw material, what do you need? You need labor, correct? You need labor. But in the context of textiles, which is a labor intensive industry, there is a lack of skilled labor availability. Lack of skilled labor availability. And in fact, various experts also have pointed out that the labor laws which are there are not conducive for the promotion of textile industry. What is another input? You require, right? Let's say capital. You require capital. Capital in the form of what? Loans. The money that you borrow. In case of India, point number one, if you take a loan, the rate of interest applicable is higher. The rate of interest applicable is higher. And right, because the rate of interest applicable is higher, automatically the production becomes inefficient. Inefficient in the sense the cost of production increases. And when the cost of production increases, automatically that will make India's exports less competitive in the international market. Let me add one more point. What about machinery? Machinery is in the sense, let's say, how many units are producing what kind of output in India. You must have heard of a term called as MSME, micro, small, medium enterprises. In case of textile sector, majority of the units which are producing them are very right micro and small enterprises. Very small enterprises. 80% of these are very small and micro enterprises, which will, or more than 80% in fact, which will hamper the overall production as well as the productivity. Right? So have a look at this. These are the various issues or concerns associated with the textile sector. In terms of output, you can simply say India is exporting. Many of these exporting nations, or let's say importing countries, they have trade agreements with other countries, and they are these other exporters which are competitors to India. They are able to enter into agreements with these countries, and their textile exports enjoy tax benefits or duty benefits when they land into these countries, which are not available to India. These duty benefits are not available to India. That will further reduce the competitiveness of India's exports. So finally, what is the way forward? And this is what the government of India is trying to do now. That is the reason the government of India has set up a panel. A task force has been set up which will be headed by Mr. Sunil Bhartwal. Sunil Bhartwal, right? He is the Commerce Secretary, and this particular panel will have multiple subcommittees. They have already set up, multiple members are there. They have set up multiple subcommittees, and they are seeking views or inputs from all of these particular subcommittees. So, what can be the way forward for all of this particular problem? One, the government of India will have to ensure that the rate of interest on the loans that these entities are taking will be lowered. How can that be done? For example, in many of these particular schemes, interest equalization is introduced. For farmers, the rate of interest, right, which is provided on the loans that are given by the banks, some rate of interest is borne by the central government, remaining, right, is borne by the farmer. So, in this initiative or that kind of initiative can be introduced here. Second is provide capital linked subsidies. Can the government provide capital linked subsidies for the textile units? What is a capital linked subsidy? When you provide, right, when a company textile unit will purchase a machinery, certain percentage of the cost of the machinery will be paid by the government. That is in fact being done for micro enterprises which are there in food processing industry right now. Third one, the government is negotiating FTAs with multiple countries. Government should include even the textile industry when the negotiations happen, so that we will also start enjoying the benefits. We will also start enjoying the benefits of lower or zero tariffs when we export it to other countries. So these are some of the recommendations you can provide. But in the current affairs, this is what is the update. A task force has been set up. It will study and give recommendations to the government. Now, associated with this, a question. Consider the following statements. Again, those who want to solve, hit the pause button, solve the question. The policy formulation, implementation in textiles industry is under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. This statement is incorrect. There is right a separate ministry for textiles only. Okay. India imports textiles but overall is a net exporter. Yes, India imports but overall is a net export. India is the second largest producer of cotton. Even this statement is so 2 and 3 are correct. How many of the statements are correct? Option B is the right option. Now associated with this, one assignment for you people, descriptive question. It is for 15 marker, 250 words. The textile industry has a huge potential in terms of labor, exports, and contribution to. However, it faces a various structural issues. Elaborate. Please try it out. Start practicing mains answer writing from today itself. I'll give you one more assignment at the end of the session. Next article. Meesho gets NCLT nod for reverse flipping. Now, this is not the first time that a company has reverse flipped. But what is the concept of a reverse flipping? Listen to me carefully. Whenever you talk about the companies, there is a term called as domicile. There is something called as domicile. What do you mean by domicile here? It is essentially referring to a place where the company is registered. Is it okay with all of you? Where the company is registered. Or else there is one more term for this, where the company is headquartered. Where the company is headquartered. Okay. Now, various companies, historically in case of India, various companies which were earlier domiciled in India, over a period of time, have shifted the domicile from India to other countries. For example, many countries have shifted the domicile to Singapore. Many of them have shifted to Mauritius. Many of them have shifted to other tax havens as well. What is the argument given by these companies? The other countries provide better types of regulations, easier regulations. The tax rates in these particular countries could be much lower. There would be much better ease of doing business for these companies if they shift to other countries. They will find their markets much nearer when they shift their domicile. It will be easier for them to get listed in the stock markets of these other countries. Or their investors demand that the domicile should be shifted. Multiple reasons are generally cited. So, over a period of time, we have seen that the registration or the place of a domicile has been shifted from India to, let's say, any other country. And what does it actually mean? I'll just give you one example here. Imagine company A is set up in India. Now, there is one more company B. Let's say this is present in Mauritius. Let's say this is present in Mauritius. If the company A will flip, what does it mean? Now the company A's assets, intellectual property rights, etc., all of them will be transferred from, let's say company A to company B. Which means before all of this happened, A was an Indian domiciled company. Now, after flipping has happened, A is not an Indian domicile company. A is just a company which is present in India, which is owned by the company B. In a nutshell, A will become an entity which is completely owned by B. Right? In technical terms, it is called as a subsidiary. 100% owned subsidiary of company B. This is essentially the concept of flipping. And what is the outcome of flipping? Now the company is registered in country or let's say second country. Taxes will be paid in the second country. Intellectual property rights will be transferred to the company in the second country. Lot of brain drain can also happen because the people also will start. Some of the top management will shift to the second country. So this is essentially the concept of flipping and the outcome of flip. But in recent times, We are seeing exactly opposite of that. That is, those companies which were domiciled outside India, now they have started shifting their domicile back to India. And that particular process is called as reverse flipping. This is referred to as reverse flipping. And this is becoming very rampant now. This is becoming a common occurrence now. The latest company to go for reverse flipping is Meesho. The latest company to go for reverse flipping is the company Meesho. Now, whenever you talk about reverse flipping, there is one more very important concept here. One more very important concept. What is that? Which is the authority from which you need to take approvals. In many cases, in a normal situation, you are supposed to take approvals from an authority called as a National Company Law Tribunal, NCLT. But please understand, the government of India last year has also launched one more methodology where if there is no need for, right, let's say all of this documentation process, there is no need for all of this. In such cases, you do not have to go through the normal route, that is through NCLT, and take approvals and then reverse flip. That is not required. What you can do is, certain officials are designated by Ministry of Corporate Affairs, MCA. Certain officials are designated. You can approach these officials, right, submit certain documents to them. They will give you the approval, which will happen much faster compared to going through NCLT. This case, right, the NCLT approvals are not needed. It will be much faster. This is expected to reduce the timing for reverse flipping, which generally takes months together if you have to go to, or if you have to go through NCLT. But before I go forward and start discussing, let's say, a question associated with this, two important things. One, why the companies are reverse flipping now? Why the companies are reverse flipping? And second one, is it only NCLT which is involved to provide approvals in such cases of reverse flipping? Let me start with the second question. In many cases, please remember this. This can be asked in the preliminary examination. In many cases, they will also have to take approvals from Reserve Bank of India, RBI. Why? There is always a concern that what if black money will get circulated back into India in the form of, let's say, investment under reverse flipping? What if the money will come back to India in the form of reverse flipping? Circulation of black money might happen. In order to ensure that, right, the rerouting doesn't happen, and the rerouting of black money doesn't happen back to India, in certain cases, RBI approvals are also required. And everybody is okay? Now, the first question. The first question, why the companies are reverse flipping? Many companies argue, one, there is a huge amount of a talent pool in India. We want to leverage it. Second, there is a very high participation in the market today in India, that is in the stock market. So we can come back to India, list our company, will get a better evaluation. In fact, Meesho is about to file for IPO now. The companies also argue that the taxation reforms are going to help them. The government's ease of doing business reforms are also helping them. So these are some of the reasons which have been cited by multiple companies in the last couple of years to go for reverse flipping. Done? Right. So associated with this MCQ, all the companies looking to reverse flip must take approval from NCLT. Must take approval from NCLT. Underline the term must. Statement is incorrect. The reverse flipping would mean to enter a new country to open a factory. No, it doesn't mean that you're opening a new you're opening a factory in a new country. No, it is not the meaning of that. Reverse flipping is change of domicile of a company. Change in the registered office, the registered headquarters of a company back to the country from where it has originated. So both the statements are incorrect. Right option will be option D. None of the statements are true. Next article. SFB is a bumpy road to becoming a universal bank. What is the discussion here? Listen to me carefully. Reserve Bank of India is promoting two types of banks. One, again, on a broader level, other classifications are also there. One is a universal bank. One is a universal bank. And the second one is called as a niche bank. Second one is called as niche or differentiated bank. What is the basic difference between both of them? Universal bank will provide all the facilities of a bank, be it primary function or secondary function, all these facilities are provided. Whereas the differentiated banks or niche banks are mandated by RBI to provide specific type of functions. Specific. They can't provide all the functions. For example, if you're a payment bank, can you provide a loan? Can you give a credit card by yourself? No. In the same way, there is one more type of a niche bank, that is small finance bank. Yes, FB, small finance bank. But why this is called as a differentiated bank? RBI imposes a higher level of priority sector lending on these. Within these particular loans which are provided, certain amount of loans will have to go to specific types of borrowers. And so these kind of conditions are imposed on these kind of niche banks. Now, what is the discussion here? Certain small finance banks have approached Reserve Bank of India, have applied for universal bank license. They've applied for universal bank license. For example, the banks which have approached Reserve Bank of India are AU, Small Finance Bank, Ujjivan Small Finance Bank, Jana Small Finance Bank. They've approached RBI. They have given an application to convert into a universal bank. Now, listen to me very carefully. There is one more concept that you need to remember in case of this. RBI follows a policy called as on tap licensing. On tap licensing. What does it actually mean? There is no window that is open for specific time period. Window means facility. Any point of time, if you want to apply for a banking license, you can approach RBI and apply for a banking license. That is universal bank license. In case of a universal bank, RBI follows on tap licensing. So these SFBs have approached RBI. They have given application to get converted into universal banks. Now, according to RBI guidelines, can everybody become a universal bank if you're a small finance bank? There are certain conditions. There are certain conditions. What are the conditions? One, you will have to be a listed small finance bank. That is, your shares should be available in the stock market. You should be a scheduled small finance bank. You should have a net worth, that is assets minus liabilities. You should have a net worth of at least 1000 crore rupees in the quarter, that is at the end of the quarter that has ended before you submit application to RBI. You should essentially be at having a satisfactory record of at least 5 years. You should have a gross NPA, right? Non-performing assets. Gross NPA of lower than 3%. Net NPA of less than 1%. What is the difference between gross and net? The banks, whenever they feel certain NPAs cannot be recovered, they will keep certain money aside, which is called as provisioning, which is referred to as provisioning. So essentially, they are making money ready, or that they're taking the amount, they are reserving the amount so that losses can be covered for. So provisioning, whenever it is done out of NPAs, you will get net NPA. Okay, so net profit in the last two. If you meet these particular conditions, only and only then you become eligible for a license. Eligible for a license to translate from the small finance bank to universal banks. Done. So these are certain very important points. It's an ongoing issue. RBI governor has given a statement. RBI is considering all the let's say points. Right. Once all the let's say the evaluation is done, then RBI will take a call whether should we give them the license for a universal bank or not. Okay. So associated with this, an MCQ. Consider the following statements regarding the small finance banks. The foreign shareholding is prohibited in the small finance bank. I have not discussed this statement, but suddenly I've asked it. That is what exactly UPSC will also do. Are the foreign shareholders allowed in an SFB? That is, FDI is allowed. Statement is yes, FDI is allowed, but the statement given here is prohibited. So, statement is in. The SFB is must maintain CRR and SLR, cash reserve ratio, statutory liquidity. CRR basically is a percentage of the deposits that you have collected that you will have to deposit with RBI. Keep with RBI. SLR is certain percentage of the deposits that you have collected that you will have to keep with yourself. Right? Is a CRR and SLR applicable for small finance bank? Yes, it is applicable. It is applicable. So right option for this particular question will be option B. Only second statement is correct. Right? So which of the above statement is or true? Only the second statement. Okay, final article in this particular session. The workday may stretch to 10 hours under Karnataka proposal. This is not the first time that a state government has announced a proposal of this nature. Last week, Andhra Pradesh government also has made the same announcement. What is the argument here? We want to attract foreign investments. We want to attract, right, let's say even the domestic investments. We want to promote ease of doing business. And how can we do that? By increasing the number of working hours so that the companies will be able to produce more with a higher number of working hours. That is the argument. And for this, I hope you understand the labor laws which are part of the concurrent list, which means state governments can also formulate the law, central government can also formulate the laws here. So, state governments such as AP, Chhattisgarh, Karnataka, etc., have proposed to increase the number of working hours from 9 to 10 hours. In case of AP and Karnataka, they have proposed to increase the number of working hours from 9 to 10 hours. And not just this, what is the number of hours under the overtime? That also has been proposed to be increased by both of these particular states. You do not have to memorize the number. But what is the argument here? Argument is a basic idea here, that is, can you increase the overall production with higher number of working hours? Higher hours, right, does it equal to higher production? That is a question here. Will higher, right, hours equal to higher production? Because there is a counter argument to these kind of proposals. Even the central government has asked all the states to look into increasing the number of working hours. But the argument is, will higher number of working hours equal to higher production? Because one argument says yes, because workers will be there on the factory floor for a one more hour now. So production should increase. But on the contrary, there is one more argument. Higher number of working hours doesn't equal to higher productivity. There is a term called as labor productivity. Remember this. There is a term called as labor productivity. Right? What is the meaning of labor productivity? Labor productivity essentially means per hour, what is the value of output? I'll repeat this. Per hour, what is the value of output? When you evaluate what is the average number of working hours that are put in by labor in India compared to other countries, you will realize that the number of hours that Indians put in is more per week. Per week, it is more than what is put in even China, what is there for USA, what is there in Japan, or for that matter, England, etc. On the other hand, have a look at the productivity. Have a look at the productivity. When you look at the productivity, right, the other countries have much higher productivity compared to the productivity per worker in India. So the argument of many of the experts is, don't focus on increasing the number of working hours. Focus on basically promotion of skilling. Focus on introduction of new type of technology, right, that will essentially promote higher productivity. And if you ensure that there is a work life balance, the workers competitiveness, efficiency automatically will increase. Right, so there are two sides. That's what I've told you. One is a higher number of working hours will lead to higher production, but the counter argument is no, it is counterproductive. Your efficiency doesn't increase because we are already working more than what is the average number of working hours in many of our competitors' economies as such. Done? Okay. So these are the various important articles which have appeared between 12th and 18th June in different newspapers. I've discussed certain articles in detail because you require sufficient data even to write means. Done. Now, coming to the last part of the session today, assignment. Last part of the session, assignment. What is the assignment? I want you people to read this article. This is an article which appeared in Mint newspaper a couple of days ago. There is right a question framed on what is discussed in the article. The question is very simple. The success of policies depend upon robust data based on which they are formulated. Whenever government forms a policy, it has to do it based on certain data collected. So the policy formulation and the effectiveness of the policy depends on the robustness, that is the accuracy of the data that is collected. In this context, to discuss the need for a robust statistical system in India. A 15 marker question, write it in 250 words. Done? So this is the assignment for this particular session. I hope all of you have benefited by attending this particular session. If so, please show us your appreciation by hitting the like button. And if you're yet to join our YouTube channel, kindly do it right now. See you again in the next session. Do not forget to join the Telegram channel and download the PPT as well as the notes of these particular articles. Thank you. Have a great day. See you next time.